This week, we head to Everspace to shoot down the chances that FNAF 6 will ever happen. Hopefully, we can evade a lawsuit before we get sent back to the pit with those people. This and more on episode 129 of Indie Game Riot. Indie Game Riot! Hey everybody, this is Josh, and I am here once again with Eric M. Hunter. You can find him at Eric Hunter on Twitter. He is filling in again for Rev, who is still without a laptop. Feel free to blow up his phone, though, on Twitter and tell him to stop paying his rent and buy a laptop.
I'm back by popular demand.
Yes, popular demand of me.
Of there not being any demand.
Actually, to be honest with you, I won't name any names, but I've had people tell me that because they know I've been looking for one temporary host and one new host to make it 3, and they've said that after the episode with you, me, and Tim Donnelly, they really liked the whole chemistry there.
Oh yeah, we were totally digging each other for sure.
Yeah. So people like you, Eric. They really like you. Yeah.
You can join the group with my mother, and that's about what that list is. Right?
But not your wife or your kid.
Yeah, she's alright.
But anyway, yes, we're here, episode 129. We've got a lot of stuff like Everspace, Pit People Evader. If you didn't catch that from the intro piece that we always say, it's almost always stupid. I had to do that take, for those of you listening to the recorded version, like 5 times.
And it was great every time.
Yes.
It just wasn't good enough for you.
I'm just a perfectionist. And we got some interesting news as well. But first, how's your week been, Eric, since the last time you were on this show?
My week's been great. How did you celebrate your 4th fellow American?
Well, Senor Patriot. We went to go see the fireworks, the local fireworks, which, admittedly, based on this town, my experiences of this town and knowledge of this place, was not as bad as I thought it would be. They shoot them off out of a big park, out of a baseball field. And,
okay, so it's like a community-driven. It's not some drunk on the corner with a bunch of fire.
No.
Okay,
no.
Good.
Yeah, it's community.
We live
fireworks.
in different towns then.
No, there's plenty of those too.
Okay.
I mean, I live in an urban area, so it's still the same kind of people, I guess, just that live in an urban area.
Right.
People, they might even hear some now, even though it's the day after. They'll shoot them off in like the alleyways and stuff.
Yep.
Somebody was blocking off an entire road just to shoot off stupid sparkle, like fountains and shit. Oh. Luckily, I didn't have to go drive down there, but I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's kind of shit pissing me off around here. But anyway, yeah, we went to go see that sort of thing, and it was fun. It was better than I expected. Usually when we go see fireworks like that, we go to Harrisburg, which is, a bigger, like an actual city. Not like Philly sized or anything like that, but it's an actual city as opposed to this place, which calls themselves a city.
Sure.
And it's a lot better there, but it was pretty good. My kids liked it, and for the first time, both of my kids did not scream. For like the beginning half of it, my daughter was like flinching and covering her ears, but she liked how it looked. And then she got over it and was like just watching it without her ears covered. My son, he kept his ears covered the whole time, but he didn't freak out. There was like a 13-year-old though that screamed every single time one exploded, and I'm like, what? If I don't understand, like, if you're legitimately scared, why are you here?
Right.
As a 13-year-old, like, these kids, they don't have a choice. We're trying to teach them not to be scared. But you, if you're actually scared, get out of here. If you're not scared, walk around. Shut up.
Yeah. You can
anyway,
do whatever you want to do. Yeah.
So you blew up things, I would assume.
No, I didn't. No. So like, my family. So the 4th fell on a Tuesday. So like, my family does everything the week after. So I haven't even gotten there yet. So. Yeah, no, it's this coming weekend is like the big weekend. So
you go out and buy fireworks though.
Oh yeah, I mean, but it's like we'll buy the kits for like $20,
like at Walmart or something.
Yeah, like it's I get an 11-month-old, and it's just me and the wife, and it's like.
What state are you in again?
Ohio.
Ohio. So you're like right next door.
Yeah, I'm a Buckeye.
Fuck you.
I'm a Buckeye.
You can more like butthole.
Oh yeah,
we're
a swing state. We are a swing state.
We are as well, but you're talking about Buckeyes, and that makes me automatically think of Ohio State, which can suck my dick.
Oh,
my blue and white dick.
You don't like a college team that has a piss poor schedule, and then when they get to the championship, they lose. You don't like those teams. You don't like teams.
I like it when they lose to Penn State like they did last year, but then I don't like it when they still get the fucking pass as the 4th seed instead of the 5th seed. But anyway, the majority of our audience doesn't give a shit about football.
So. What the fuck are you guys talking about?
Yeah. Anyway, so how's the fireworks like laws there? Because like here, you can have those kits. Like they'll set up tents outside.
Right.
You can buy from
there. We are close to 2 different states, so we are literally in driving distance, like within an hour of like Indiana and Kentucky. And for the
smuggle.
Exactly. So for the longest time, Kentucky and Ohio were like the no big booms, no shoot 'em off, whistling bungholes or whistler doos or whatever those Joe Dirt references are. And
sounds like a Willy Wonka candy.
Right. So we would drive to Indiana, and there would be massive tents. Like the second you cross the state line, there's just massive tents. Yeah. But about 5 or 6 years ago, they passed the law where it was like, okay, whatever fireworks you want, and then suddenly nobody wants those fireworks anymore. So
it's 'cause it's no fun now.
Exactly. So we got lucky. We live next to a kind of I don't want to say second rate because it's actually a nice place, but it's an amusement park, kind of on a smaller scale. And they did like a hot air balloon festival / firework display thing.
That sounds like a terrible idea. Hot air balloons and fireworks.
And then fireworks. Yeah. So it's like, we fly them up and then you shoot them down. No, that, we pretty much just sat out on the porch and was just like watching them because it's within viewing distance, which was kind of nice. So
that's cool. Actually,
not too bad.
The town, the next town over, Hershey, which is the same place that makes Hershey chocolate.
The candy. That's true.
Their fireworks, we went to a couple years ago with my grandparents because they live there, but their fireworks apparently caught fire to the hill like 5 minutes into the show, so they had to cancel it.
So the show was over.
Yeah.
Classic.
But yeah, around here, the fireworks, they do what you were saying about the smuggling. They'll go down south. I don't know if it's Maryland or Virginia. I forget which one it is that doesn't give a shit about what kind of fireworks you blow your hand off with. But they'll go down there and smuggle them back up. And it is kind of funny because as soon as you get to that point, there's just like, here's fireworks because we know you're taking them back.
Signs and
people will get up here with because bottle rockets and like Roman candles, shit that like flies up into the air really far, that's the stuff that's illegal. Those in like M80, like tiny sticks of dynamite, basically.
Right, exactly. It's like 1/5 of a dynamite stick or something like that.
Yeah, they're the things that are illegal. The dynamite because it's fucking dangerous, but the bottle rockets because the embers fall, catch roofs on fire.
Right.
But people don't care. So that's what people shoot off in the alleyways here, of course.
America.
Because, row homes and everything. So if you're going to set your own roof on fire, why not take everyone else, too?
Yeah. I mean, fuck the neighbors, right?
Yeah. But, generally, though, outside of, like, in rural areas, I don't really give a shit. Blow your hand off. I don't care. That's your own thing.
There's always those videos the next day. Like, I work in a wireless store, so we sell cell phones and stuff. Yeah. And it's like today was like we knew exactly what today was. Today was... So yesterday, like for whatever reason, I just jumped in the pool and my phone was in my pocket or it's so we were filming the fireworks show, why do you film a fireworks show? It's not like you're going to watch it later. Like nobody does that. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
And, and then, Billy Bob slapped it out of my hand and now the screen's cracked. I don't know what to do with it. And it's like, oh, well, happy 4th and you're fucked. So have a nice day.
I like watching the videos the day after, which I saw today, of people.
The fails.
Yeah, like someone.
Oh yeah.
filming it. You're talking about filming it, and then it fucks up like whatever shit they're filming because there's fucking rockets and fire everywhere.
Yep.
And they set their car on fire and shit.
People are dumb.
Yeah. Well, you know what's not dumb?
I do. Is it the indie news injection?
Yeah, taking indie news injections.
Yes!
Are you bored with the same old games?
Yeah.
Why, then give yourself an indie news injection.
Thanks, Indie Games.
This week on Indie News Injection, you know what's first. The first thing is Indie Revolution Expo, because I've got to remind you every single week until we hit it on the 14th. That's right, Indie Revolution Expo starts this month on the 14th. That is a Friday and will last through Sunday, the 16th of July. I hope you all end up being there. Just some reminders that the shirt, the limited edition shirt for IRX 17 is on sale. So proceeds from that go to support IRX. And of course you get a cool shirt from this year that you won't be able to get again after IRX. Or you can just get the regular logo, which is always available. That's fine too. Either or. Some other things too with IRX. If you are, first of all, if you're someone who's listening that is participating in IRX, if you're exhibiting a game or having a panel or a talk or something, or anything like that, this coming Saturday, more detailed information will come out soon, but this coming Saturday, we're going to have a meeting on our Discord server. And if you're not on our Discord server, you're missing out, because it's actually growing quite a bit. That community is over 60 people. I think it's like 65 people or something like that now. Large group of people, a lot of devs, mostly devs, some industry folks, press folks. But anyway,
that'd be me.
Yeah.
Is that me?
That's you.
Am I an industry folk? Am I a press folk?
I would call you press. So anyway, we're doing a meeting on the voice chat channel on our server, and you're welcome to be there to just hang out or ask questions or whatever. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say about IRX, but I don't remember.
It's going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome.
I'm really excited.
Yeah. Eric's going to be doing a talk regarding consoles and indies.
So good.
I'm not sure to what extent he's able to participate in IRX outside of that, as far as helping out goes, because I know you got work or whatever going on, but we'll see. Anyway, it's happening, so be there. It's a good time, and you get to schmooze with industry folks if you want to talk to devs and stuff like that. Schmooze. Like we're walking around with champagne.
Yeah, right.
Everyone's on their couch in their fucking underwear. That's what's happening.
It'll be a glorious time.
Yeah. Actually, who says I mean, you're going to a convention where you can be in your underwear with your hand down your pants, scratching your own ass, farting, whatever, and no one gives a shit. It's cool. And here's the logo, because I literally, right before I started that, I was like, I got to put the logo up, and then I didn't. So there you go. That's the main logo. I'm awesome at my job.
Man.
You know who else is awesome at their job? The San Diego Game Jam. That is the Game Developers Association, I believe, is setting this up in San Diego. And they're doing it at the Art Institute. In that little logo to that side, the right, is the address. If you're around the area and are planning to go to this, that is 7650 Mission Valley Road, the Art Institute. So you can go there and join the Game Jam. It's a big time Game Jam. It is $25 to participate, but it goes to pay for the venue. So, it's not like they're just trying to take money from you.
Right.
It's all about getting better. If you are a student, however, you get a $10 discount, and if you are actually part of the IGDA there, the Game Developers Association, you get in for free because you already pay dues. I'm not sure how much the dues are for... I don't know if that's like standard throughout the whole country, because I know different cities have different chapters, or if it's per chapter, but whatever. If you do go to it, there's going to be computers and software available there, or you can bring your own laptop or whatever. There's also a cafe and shopping and stuff like that, so you can get food and supplies. Because it is a 48-hour game jam, so you're going to be staying up a couple days and a night.
Yep.
To get your shit done. There's also rooms for sleeping that are separate for male and females. If you want to sleep overnight, you just need to bring some camping gear, like a sleeping bag. Some rules. There's 5 rules. Participants may not use any previously developed concept, code, or assets. Participants may not use any assets or code that is not free and open to public use. Max 6 people on a team, or you can just work independently, whatever. You need to be present for at least 24 hours for awards. I'm assuming after it's done.
Awards.
It was written by a snake. Don't make fun of the snake's impediment.
Snake. It's written by a snake.
And participants must complete and submit a game by 6 p.m. on Sunday to be eligible for awards. So, it's going to be about, they're saying there's going to be about 50 to 75 participants, so it's big time too.
Yeah, that's a lot.
San Diego has a nice game dev community.
So, man, I tell you what, like if you're going to do a game jam, 100% of the way, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Like you pull out all the stops and you make it so that all the participants have to do is make their game. It's super amazing.
I will say though, if you're in an area that has an IGDA chapter, it's pretty, if you're serious about game dev, I would say it's definitely worth the money to pay for the dues there, because it's a really nice community. They get a lot of support, a lot of like workshops and things like that to help you get better, and it's just super good for devs. So around my area would be the closest would probably be Philly, that I'm aware of. I think Baltimore also has one, which is a little bit farther but pretty close as well. So Pittsburgh probably has one. I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati had one, which is where you're at. So
it is.
Yeah. And I didn't mention it is starting Friday, August 25th, and will end on Sunday, August 27th. Get there.
Very cool. Very cool.
Something that's not so cool. If you know who Tinybuild is, Tinybuild, they started off as a developer with Newgrounds ties, with a game called No Time to Explain. It's really cool. Yep. And they turned it into something bigger, and they fairly successful, and they just kind of went from there, and they've turned into a developer/publisher. Honestly, I think they were more, nowadays I think they're more publisher than they are developer, but I would consider them one of the best publishers out there, if you're a dev looking for a publisher. However, recently, Alex, I have no idea how to pronounce it. He emails me all the time with like review codes and stuff like that, but I don't know. Nichiporchik?
Sure.
Alex, Nichiporchik? Oh, sorry, Alex. He was born in Latvia, so that's where that name comes from. But apparently,
former Soviet Union.
Yeah. So apparently, he was involved with a publisher from Russia called Buka, I think is how you pronounce it, Buka Entertainment. And back when they were making No Time to Explain, I guess that they were publishing that game for them, and they just basically bailed out. And this is, by the way, I should say this is all alleged because this is only one side of the story. I don't know what the other side of the story is, but they apparently bailed out on a financial commitment, and they, according to Alex, they essentially cut the game's budget in half. So because of this, and I guess what it looks like is that it's equal to $24,000, and then because of this, they, Tinybuild went to them and like, what the fuck, and decided, and out of retaliation, I guess, for being confronted about it, probably because they made it public at some point, outside of this, they are threatening to sue Tinybuild. And one thing I've seen on some other sites and comments, I actually pulled this from a site that I wasn't sure how reputable it was, so I decided to just go straight to the source. But in those comments on that other site, some people were saying it seems like Tinybuild's like a big time victim, because they're the ones that are complaining about like G2A and stuff like that. But I gotta say that G2A, I think more so than this, because I know more about G2A, they have a right to complain.
Right.
This one, again, I don't know a whole lot about the other side of the story, because you never want to assume without hearing both sides. But if this is all true, then, I mean, you're just kind of a dick, person who wrote that comment.
Right. So when I was reading it, both from Tinybuild's website and then an actual like breakdown, maybe on Kotaku, it sounds like the publisher Buka or Beck, however you want to pronounce it, like they're worried about slander. Is that what it is when you're
right? So that's why I was saying
because
like,
liable is written. So
yeah, because they made the information public and complained about it publicly, and therefore they felt like Tinybuild hurt Buka's reputation.
Sure, which
is the same thing that has happened with Black Shell Media, if anyone's heard of that.
Exactly. So I mean, it's that is one of the beautiful things about the internet, is that everything is forever. So it's like because I believe after reading it, they were talking about the Buka didn't have whatever quote unquote correspondence that he was referencing to, and he was like, oh, I have it right here, and he'd pull it up and send it to him and stuff like that. So it's like, man, I don't know. It's the reason that he's doing this, and he said this from the beginning, the reason he's making this to light in the first place is so that other developers do not fall into the same trap. Because I mean, that's what we were talking about, the community in the beginning before we even started recording, and like that's communication's a very important thing when it comes to the community, and it's like you are already strapped to begin with, and the last thing you want to do is fall into a trap. And he was just doing what he felt was his due diligence of explaining a particular situation that he dealt with.
Getting trapped into a publishing contract is kind of a big time deal in the indie scene anyway. Between this, Black Shell Media, even, and this isn't what necessarily happened with what the hell is it called? Is it Red Star or something like that? It's the one that Poncho was published by. I
have to look it up, man.
But I can't remember what the name of it is. But in that case, it wasn't. No one got sued or anything like that, but it was definitely a falling out.
Right.
And by the way, I should say that if you find yourself on the end of like one of these publishers, if there are any publishers out there listening, if you find yourself on the end of getting shit talked, first of all, that's kind of like, I mean, I just shit talked on Wendy's the other day.
What?
Because I should have mentioned this earlier. Because I got really shitty service. Basically, I got the wrong sandwich.
Oh, I remember. I saw this. You put it on Twitter.
I got the wrong sandwich.
Yeah. And
I asked for the right sandwich, and the guy making the sandwich, like the cashier goes back, tells the guy making the sandwich, and he goes like one of these like with the head motion, slams his like tongs or whatever the fuck he had down on the counter, takes new buns, smashes them into the toaster, and then proceeds to like glare at me like he was about to like fucking punch me or fight me, you know what I mean, outside. So anyway,
that's hilarious.
I shit talk them, but that's just kind of like how it works when you have customers or clients or whatever like that. Not everyone's going to be happy.
Part of it. Exactly.
The suing is just so stupid. It's hurtful to both sides, PR wise, and you're probably not going to win, to be honest, because I mean it's an opinion based thing, and sometimes, to be honest, they have the right based on the situation. But like the people with Poncho, they, no matter who you think is right or wrong, they at least handled it in a way that didn't sue the shit out of Delve Interactive, who made Poncho. They just defended themselves, like, hey, look, this is our side of the story. Sorry this happened, but that's how
it's life.
It is.
Like sometimes the shit goes sour, and so like that's why I feel like regardless if Tinybuild's in the right or the wrong, and however you want to fall on the subject, like I feel like the fact that Tinybuild is bringing this to light about a publisher that is fairly well known, it maybe not here in the States but overseas, like this information, it should be pertinent, and you should take it into consideration when you are approached or you go to approach a publisher, because I mean you can have your entire world flipped upside down and realize that you don't own the thing that you spent the past 2 years working on with weekends. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the more information, the better of all of this stuff to me.
All right. Is Rising Star Games was the publisher for Poncho. I looked it up. So, and they also gave like a short timeline of like how shit went down. March 3rd, 2011 is when they offered to publish No Time to Explain. They negotiated, and around April 8th, they sent over an offer for $24,500. April 30th, they come to an agreement. They sign a copy and send it over. May 5th, they got the confirmation that the invoice was received and money will be sent soon. The May 13th, they met and exchanged hard copies of the contract, because the previous one was a digital copy. June 1st, they, I guess, had previously emailed them several times and were not responded to, and finally on the 1st, they got an email back saying everything's fine and money is coming. And then on the 29th, later that month, they get an email saying that the project is canned, along with some others.
And then 6 years later,
6 years later, May of this year, on the 11th, they threatened to sue Tinybuild for spreading false information when they went public with this, I guess, in a post, I guess, that they had to probably take down for the court if they are getting sued, I would imagine. And the CEO of Buka threatens him in a personal meeting, which I wonder what kind of threat. kind of
so crazy.
And June 19th, honor the original contract, send over the gold master of No Time to Explain, and call for Buka to honor their commitments. So June 19th was the last thing. So apparently, in good faith, they sent over the master copy of No Time to Explain, and are waiting for Buka to send their money, as they agreed. And then they also show various emails and exchanges. A lot of it's in Russian, but obviously
it's translated
because they can.
Stupid Americans.
Yeah, I don't understand the Russian language in the least. But anyway, it's just, I don't know. There was actually a discussion, I think, in Discord not that long ago about publishers, and because I was contacted by Black Shell Media, and I was like expressing whether or not I was asking whether or not I should have them on, because they don't have the best reputation between the people that I know. And it got a conversation starting regarding publishers. And if you are a dev looking for, first of all, I think it's always a good idea to try your best to self-publish if you can. I understand there's a lot of logistics issues with distribution. With a publisher, a lot of times it's easier to get into Steam without having to go through their nonsense, like previously Steam Greenlight, now Steam Direct. Yep. Publishers give you financial assistance a lot of times, PR. But if you can, do it yourself. I will say that Tinybuild as a publisher, from my point of view, being press, does a really good job spreading the word. They've sent out some of the best press releases I've ever received from any publisher, and that includes Devolver or fucking Tim Schafer's shit. Why can't I think of it?
Double Fine?
Yeah, thank you. Double Fine. That includes those kinds of big triple indie, I guess you could call them, publishers.
No, go ahead and say it. Triple I. Go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's a terrible phrase.
Devolver is another really good one. Double Fine I haven't heard anything bad about, but they tend to borderline be AAA, I will say.
They're probably more picky.
Their whole thing with, like, you ever hear of Fig?
Yeah.
We talked about it a while ago.
Fig.co. Yep.
Fig kind of bothers me. Because it's marketed as a crowdfunding thing,
and it's not. It really isn't. It's a rich man's Kickstarter, I guess. Is what
it's more like what do you call them? Angel investors.
Angel funding, yeah.
Angel funding. It's more like that.
Which is fine,
or
and
venture
it has
capitalism.
And it has its place like everything else. But I think the fact that where it's like, oh well, if you want a quote unquote producer credit and be able to put this on a resume, you have to submit X amount of dollars to get that. Which part of me feels like with all of the games that I've helped kickstart and that either haven't come or when they did they were atrocious, aka Mighty Number 9. I feel like part of me like, okay, yeah, I did help fund this. Like I should get some sort of credit for it.
Yeah.
But that is such a personal endeavor, and it's just an argument that I have with myself because at the end of the day, it's like I'm not producing shit. My $10, although it does help a great deal, it doesn't do a whole lot. You know what I mean?
I mean, with Kickstarter, it's about the size of your backing. It's because I mean, $10 to get a kickback from that outside of the reward or whatever,
right?
Which you could technically argue the reward is your kickback, but unless you're putting in like 4 figures or more, I mean, I've seen some Kickstarters ask for $10,000.
Oh yeah,
have some tiers. Which in that case, I start to think, okay, maybe you should get a cut of the revenue in that case,
right?
But I mean, then again, you just don't have to. Or you could contact them directly and be like, "Hey, I'll give you $10,000 if you give me a cut instead of doing Kickstarter."
Sure.
But anyway,
I applaud it because it's a different mindset. It's a different school of thought, and I think that's what we need more of. We need more ideas of how to get things done. It's just not one that I'm ready to back. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what else is not going to get backed?
Could it be? Oh. Unfortunately,
FNAF 6 is apparently not happening.
Yeah.
And I made a joke in the intro about trying to make sure FNAF 6 never sees the light of day, and I was only half joking. I mean, to be honest, I will say this about Five Nights at Freddy's, whether you like the game, the core of the game or not, about the whole jump scares and all that, is that Scott Cawthon, the developer of the franchise, He's done what he's dreamed of doing. He's
done the impossible.
He's made a game and he's made a lot of money off of it.
Yep.
And more power to him. You know what I mean? And if the world has spoken, even if you don't like FNAF, enough people do, that he is making good money off of it, and they're thinking about doing a movie, and he has books. And stuff.
He is the exception that makes the rule. Like the popularity that comes with FNAF is. Like, YouTube I don't get it, but I'm just
YouTube
one
gold.
person.
But the thing is,
streamer gold. Sure.
People shit on its mechanics, and I get it because it's a lot of jump scares. But there is some depth to it, especially as you get into the later games. The thing that really impresses me, though, is the narrative behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's impressive how interweaved it is, and I will say that it seems like as the farther he gets, the more convoluted the canon gets, and I think he's getting a little lost in it. He's like, oh shit, I don't remember if if this is a thing that should happen because of whatever.
Is this the Purple Man guy? No. Is it the Locke?
Yeah.
No, it's not Locke. What is it? Who is it? Is it the clown? Yeah.
Yeah. But it's still really impressive. That's the part that I really like about these games, is that he's not just made it a simple game, he's added a whole lore to it. So, I mean, that in itself is just really cool to me. In fact, that he's done it himself.
Which you could devise to say that the lore behind FNAF is even more popular than the game itself.
Oh, with all the theories and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, which is
that's what's intrigued me.
That's not something you should just subside and because that is if you want to talk about building a community around your game, like that's. I mean, Kaufman that's what you do. That's exactly how you do this, Yeah. Like it's
augmented reality or having things like just woven throughout various platforms. That's how you build a community and PR for your game.
Well, he connects too. Like he has no problem like sending PM messages to like influencers or people who are streaming and just like, hey, this is just for you.
Well, just like in his website too, just things shit in the code and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, he was making a Five Nights at Freddy's 6, tentatively called that, and he is apparently stepping back from it because he's grown disillusioned with the whole thing, and I guess he's also been really pressured and stressed to make it bigger and better than before, which is always a concern when you're making further additions to a franchise. You always want to top the last one. And he wants to make something that's more lighthearted and something where you can spend more time with his family. So the only thing I will say that I get it, and I'm kind of glad because it's getting to the point where it's like the Jason movies. You're like, you should have stopped after like 3.
Right. 2.
So, yeah. But I get it. But even at the same time, if he were to make it, I don't blame him because it still makes him good money, and he's out there to make a living.
Yeah.
I am a little hesitant to believe it.
So that's exactly what I was going to say. This is all part of the narrative. This is all bullshit. He's playing into whatever motif that he's created with these games. Like, it's going to be like, oh no, I'm stepping away from FNAF 6. It's just too much. I want to be with my family. Then a week later, something's going to drop, and he's going to be like, I have no idea what this is. I'm intrigued as well as everybody else is. And it's like,
he's
suddenly
been known to
do
stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's been known to do stuff like that.
Yep.
Let's just hope that nothing turns out like Five Nights at Freddy World or whatever the hell that was called, FNAF World.
Oh yeah, that terrible RPG.
Yeah, at least he made it for free. At least he acknowledged it, and I respect that. So,
True.
If you're a fan of FNAF, I'm sorry. If not, then celebrate with your fireworks and shove them up your ass.
American fireworks.
But you know what else you should celebrate with?
It's starting Riot.
Starting Riot.
Hello?
This week on Starting to Riot, we are talking about a game called Everspace. And why? First of all, it's not a flight simulator according to them. Eric,
That's a little.
why do you think? Okay, why do you think it's a flight simulator?
So I mean, what would you call it? Let's start there.
Well, it's a mishmash of things.
Okay, it's a mishmash of what, like Rogue One, or not Rogue One, but Rogue Squadron.
Well, it's got
Star
roguelike.
Citizen.
It's closer to that probably. It's got like roguelikes and crafting system and things like that, and pretty heavy narrative from what I understand. And when you say flight sim, it makes me think of like what, I don't even know what they're
Microsoft
called.
Flight Sim.
Yeah, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which
No,
is not.
to me, it's like, if it's not Afterburner, then it's a flight sim. That's how I look at it.
Like, it seems to me more closer to No Man's Sky, but without all the empty promises.
I don't know, because watching, I mean, so I highly recommend that you click on these links and you check out these trailers, because the visuals alone are impressive.
It is very pretty.
It's a very pretty game. So, but I have my reservations, like anybody would or should. Everybody should have reservations about every game that they come across, because you never know, especially with alpha builds and early access and that kind of thing.
They have some really cool concept art.
So it's built on the Unreal Engine, which I have very, very low expectations for.
You don't like the Unreal Engine?
I like the Unreal Engine. I think that as long as it's been out, nobody has been able to create something that looks or plays as good as this game is appearing to look and play. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like, I feel like it's one of those engines that... So if you take, for instance, like... Okay, we'll break it down. So, like, the NES, way back in the day, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Like, Super Mario Brothers, a great game, what it is, but it is not a technically great game. It's not a good-looking game. But if you play a game that came at the end of its life cycle, which was more like Wario Woods, that is an amazingly beautiful game, or like Kirby's Adventure, like those games like are beautiful and are very well crafted and are, 6-7 years in the development cycle of the NES before the Super NES came out. There's something about the Unreal Engine where the games either take a huge dump and it's not what you're expecting.
It seems like almost they put their priorities into making it look nice over making the game play well.
Right. And I think a lot of that has to do to the engine. Like, for whatever reason, I feel like the Unreal Engine, either it just doesn't have what whoever is looking for, or if they're using Unreal, it's super modified to the point where it's not even Unreal anymore.
Like, I mean, Unreal used to be, before they made it a lot more accessible, it used to be strictly for AAAs to use. And I mean, but they also have the resources to not only make it look nice, but to also make the game play well, generally.
Right.
So, I mean, that could be part of it. Maybe they're putting priorities in the wrong place. In which case, I mean, Unity makes things look nice. Maybe not as nice as Unreal, because Unreal has better lighting, better particles. But
right.
Unity still has pretty nice graphics involved, and probably a lot more simple, to be honest. Then again, I know there's a lot of devs that we talk to in the Discord server, for instance, that swear by Unreal, whereas others are definitely Unity all the way. I guess it depends on what you learn, because I'm pretty sure they also operate differently. I don't know. I know more about Unity than I do Unreal. But they have like those visual programming plugins, so you don't have to like code it necessarily. You can just kind of move things around or whatever,
which is great. But I mean, I don't know. Like, part of me just feels like it's. I don't know.
Well, first of all, let me just say, Everspace is made by Rockfish Games. It's currently for $29.99. Windows and Mac, and it's VR. So VR alone, I mean, I don't know how you feel about VR. I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic about VR still.
I mean, I have a PlayStation VR.
And well, you're lucky. I want one.
It's sitting in a box. Do you want it? I will sell it to you.
Wow. I thought you were just going to send it to me.
Oh.
I mean, it's only a few $100 there. Come on.
So it's $1,000.
But it is VR, and when you're in these kind of like, I mean, if you are going to make it look like a flight sim view in space, VR is pretty cool. You gotta admit.
True.
I mean, especially since you don't have to move around, you can just sit there like you're in a cockpit.
Right, and puke on yourself.
There's that. And I mean, a lot of people. I mean, you said you had reservations about it. It's almost to 1,900 reviews on Steam. Already, it's still at 83%, which is pretty good for Steam.
It's pretty amazing.
And on Metacritic, 81.
Yep.
81 out of 100 is not bad. And mechanics. There is the flying, but I feel like flying is more about immersion, like the whole flight sim feel of it. You get into dogfights, like you're in fucking Star Wars. I mentioned the crafting. You can mine and stuff like that, like a fucking Star Wars. You can find like blueprints and weapons and things like that to upgrade and to help you craft, so you can like loot things off of probably fucked up ships. Exploration, obviously, and just generally surviving throughout the whole universe. I think
all of this sounds great,
ambitious.
And it sounds very appealing. And I think that at the end of the day, the thing that really bothers me is the price point. $29.99 is not enough for the game that they're trying to create, or that they claim that they're trying to create.
So you're saying
this is a $60 game.
You're saying the price is indicative of the actual quality,
right?
Like, I feel like it costs too much.
No. Like, I don't think it. I think no. Like, you want to talk about that? Like, I think the games don't cost enough nowadays, or they're too. They're not cheap enough. So just depending, like AAA games should be upwards of $100 right now by the way that they're created and the things that they have to do. But that's a whole other situation.
A lot of people think they should actually go down now that it's digital distribution. A lot of it.
Sure, but I mean, if you're looking at 1,000 member teams, then no, it should be $100 game. But I feel like $29.99 is that sweet spot for a game that takes a long time to develop, but should never look this good.
But you're mentioning, it seems like too that the better the game looks, no matter what, it's almost like the graphic. Maybe that's why they prioritize it. But the better the graphics look, the more people take it seriously and therefore are willing to pay more.
Right. Well, that's the hardest part, right? Or the graphics, I think.
Well,
I mean,
I guess it depends on your skill set, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, because this is, I mean, I've been a programmer since I was 15, so, like, to me, like, the programming part should be, I don't want to say easy, because that's not the right word, but
Wait, you actually program? I got to talk to you about this afterwards.
But the idea of visuals and creating those graphics and that kind of thing, like that, to me, that is a much more strenuous job, and it's much more tedious than it is to throw a couple of math equations and throw them in some formulas and some subroutines and that kind of thing. To me,
but I do gotta say, I mean, as fickle as consumers are, I find that Steam reviews, especially when you get into like a larger sample size like that, tend to be fairly accurate because of how unforgiving they can be.
Sure.
At least at least on the positive side, they tend to be more accurate. A lot of times, if it's like mixed or something like that, I give it a benefit of the doubt because once shit starts rolling, it's rolling downhill. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I was going to mention Grand Theft Auto 5 and the whole Open 4. Like, that was, I mean, that game is overwhelmingly negative at the moment just because they, for a temporary time, put a posh on a modding system.
There's that, too. There's, like, those situations.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I got to say, I'm willing to give this the benefit of the doubt in itself just because... Because you're right, it is highly ambitious.
I've just been burned so many times that
I've been hurt so many. You should write an emo song about it.
I'm not kidding, man. Like I kickstarted a project that took 6 years to get back to me. 6 years to get back to me. And I'm not talking about Mighty Number 9 because I'm still waiting for that fucking bullshit. I backed a hard copy of that game with a manual and box, and I'm still waiting for it.
Holly in the chat mentioned correct pricing is 100% what people are willing to pay, and it has nothing to do with how much work goes into the game, which is why indie devs can never charge anywhere near what their games are worth in terms of the work they put into it. And we've had this discussion before on the show, and it's both sides. I mean, I think both sides are point because I tend to lean on the side of amount of content to dollar value.
Right.
However, I'm willing to change that based on how much punch that content has compared to my dollar value. You know what I mean? So a shorter game, I think, should be cheaper a lot of times, generally speaking. But if that gives me a huge experience out of that, I'm definitely willing to pay more.
Right.
And you're right, because, and we talked about this, we interviewed a guy that made Brigador, if you know that game. And he kind of got some attention because he wrote this big, like, I've had enough of this shit kind of post about people complaining about their price point of, like, I think it was like $20-25. And he's like, look, even with that, we're not making that much of a profit. You don't know how much of our own money and time went into it,
Sure.
and that sort of thing. And I totally get that, too. It really is a lot of time and money and energy put into a game. And therefore, when you look at it from that point of view, you're right. These games should cost like $100.
Sure. Well, okay. Well, then let's completely throw that out the window. Give me something else to buy. Like, give me your game for $10, and then give me your soundtrack for $5. Give me a strategy guide for $5. Give me a companion app for $5. Like,
but the problem with that is that not like less people are willing to pay for those things than they are for the game. You know what I mean? Like, I buy games, but I won't buy the soundtrack necessarily. Although there are a few I might consider, like Bastion or something. But
yeah, I mean, if you like the game, though, I mean, it's like I promote those games that are like, oh, the game is, it's whatever you want to pay for it.
I will say, I mean, we talked about this with Tim when he was on the show with you a couple weeks ago. About he's going to price, at this point anyway, he's planning on pricing Boss 101 at $10, $9.99. And to me, knowing knowing him personally, for one, but also knowing what's going to be in the game, that seems like pretty low to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, there's also a thing where like you kind of have to have faith in your game, and if you're going to price it at $10, then you should be expecting more people to buy it. And that's his thinking, is that he'd rather have more people buy the game, which one is kind of like the whole bulk pricing type thing.
Right.
You know, when they sell it for lower, expecting you to buy more, therefore they make more money that way. Also, he could still make a profit. He still make a profit, but say he wants to make another game, whether it be, I think he's planning on eventually a sequel to Boss 101.
Boss 102
or 201 or something like that. Yeah, we've talked about that, but
I'm gonna get that domain.
But you price it at $10, show people what you got, and then with your next game, they might be willing to pay more.
Sure. Well, I mean, and the other thing to think about too is like we are all stingy when it comes to money. So like, who is actually going to buy that game at $9.99?
Yeah.
Very few people. The people who are going to buy that game is when it goes on a Steam sale or when it's in a Humble Bundle. So it's like, if that's the case,
I personally think it's worth at least $15.
Right. So why don't you just add that extra $5, knowing full well that within the first couple of weeks, probably it's going to be on sale. So, I mean, take that chance.
Tim, if you listen to this, respond in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think the money thing is a big deal about all of this. Because, I mean, we mentioned this earlier. The devs in general are, just tight on money to begin with, and there's little to no budget. Well, shit, so am I. Like, I want to pay for the games that I play and I enjoy. I want to make sure that the developer is getting that money that I am giving for their games so that I can pay for their time and effort that they put into it. But, I mean, I am also a consumer, and my consumer mind is like, well, if it's not on sale, then it's not a good value. Okay, well, you have to compensate for that. So how do you compensate for that? You could add more money to what the actual price is, or you could add a soundtrack, or you could add wallpapers. Like, I bought Fez from GOG just because it came with wallpapers, because I wanted those stupid fucking wallpapers to put on my computer. How dumb is that? But
pretty dumb, especially considering it's Fez.
Sure, but it was an incentive for me. It's a good game, Josh.
It's a decent game. It's a decent game.
But it was an incentive enough for me to purchase it from X marketplace because it provided Y. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, like, what else? The very unfortunate news of all of this is that just releasing the game and pricing it is not enough. As a consumer who's looking to buy games, I need more. I either need a sale, or I need more product that you're giving me for quote-unquote free or a discount, or I need to feel special. So what of those three things are you doing for me to buy your game?
And you're kind of going down a bit of a rabbit hole too with like adding on things to pay. Like when it comes to, you start talking about like DLC and stuff like that,
right?
And that's kind of iffy depending on the game and depending, like, there's ways to do it right. Like Darkest Dungeon recently came out with Crimson something, I forget what it was, but yeah. They came out with a DLC expansion type thing for like half the price of the actual game.
Yeah.
So you could do it that way. You could make your game and then plan on selling something like that to make up for the lack of profit. However, then there's no, I want the whole game. Why are you selling me like half of a game when this is like part of this game? So you have to make sure that DLC is really an actual add-on as opposed to like a paywall hidden as DLC.
Yeah, some sort of gateway to get into it. Yep. So, well, and the other problem with that too is Darkest Dungeon was a huge success. So what if your game is not a huge success?
Yeah.
Now, how do you build that profit back up? So, I mean, there's so many variables that you have to consider. It's a Chords?
Crimson Court, I think.
Chords.
That's what it's called.
Gotcha. Yeah. All I'm saying is this game frightens me. I don't think it's going to end up being what I really want it to be, although I hope it is, just because it is such a beautiful looking game. But I'm so weary. I am so weary about what they're showing
to what song.
Man, my horse is broken. My truck lost its wheel.
I'm drinking myself to death.
Other country music tropes. I should just ask my wife. She listens to country music. I don't know what country music is.
I'm sorry.
So that's all right. I don't know. She's pretty. I think she's pretty.
All right. I guess. Well, you know who else is pretty?
Is it me?
No.
It's not.
No.
Could it be a peep show?
It's the people at the peep show.
At the peep show.
Please give all your attention to Early Access.
This week on Peep Show, we're talking about Pit People. If that wasn't made apparent through previous fantastic transitions. Pit People is made by the Behemoth, is currently in early access, and it's different from the previous two games. Well, it's not just two games, but the previous two, I should say three, because Alien Hominid was pretty popular. Previous three...
What? Pretty popular?
Well, compared to the games...
popular.
I mean, Alien Hominid was out before Xbox Arcade was a thing.
Okay.
Which is what made Castle Crashers huge.
Yes, you are correct, sir.
So, although Alien Hominid did eventually come out, I think on an Game Boy Advance.
So that's like, if you're going to make it to a handheld, that's pretty popular.
Yeah. But anyway, Alien Hominid was the first one, but they also made Castle Crashers and BattleBlock Theater. But they're all like that side-scroller, platforming-ish,
action-ish.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Pit People is not that. Aesthetically, it looks the same because it's Dan Paladin's art with that whole like shaped-based pale character, that type of thing. It's all ridiculous, and of course the comedy is there. They brought Stamper back, who's a cool dude. I met him in person. He's funny. I'm glad that they keep him for voices. He does like the narration for Pit People. He also did narration for BattleBlock Theater. Yep. But it's a strategy turn-based. Is this 4X? I guess.
Man, I don't know. Like,
it's not 4X in the sense of Civilization. It's because
it's like a 4X light, maybe.
Yeah, kind of. But basically, you start off as this dude, and I'm trying to remember because it's been a while since I've actually played the beta. Trying to remember the story, but you're this dude, basically like the god of the world, smites you for whatever reason. You get pissed off and you go to fight people and recruit people. One of the things I think is cool in collecting games is recruiting, and you can like basically capture certain enemies and recruit them to your team. Like I think the first one you can get is like some sort of cupcake that heals. I think, and various creatures like that. There's like vampires or something. It's just really weird. It's very classic Behemoth aesthetic in the art and feel of the game outside of the gameplay mechanics.
Yep.
You can play. It's single player, but you can play 2-player co-op, local and online. So that's always fun. And is currently $14.99 in the early access section on Steam. Yep. What do you think about this game?
So I'm a big fan of Behemoth. I think all of their games bring a uniqueness to the just the gaming in general. Like they like to go above and beyond and really push that weird factor, which, I mean, why not? I'm always a big fan of the art, and I'm glad that they're continuing with the similar artists in that style. This game looks very interesting to me, and I feel like 10, 15, 20 years from now, this will be the game that we talk about. It's not going to be Castle Crashers. It's not going to be Alien Hominid. It's going to be Pit People.
Less than Civilization or 4X in that matter. I would say this is closer to the strategy games like XCOM, because it's all about positioning and the various skills that you have.
Yep. Fire Emblem and Advance Wars.
Tactics games.
Yep.
So that's, to correct myself, it's closer to those kinds of games. They did a really good job balancing it. and putting different mechanics in it so it's not just another tactics type game. I mean, outside of the comedy and the whole behemoth thing, right now you're seeing in the gameplay, like basically it's like a hometown where you can recruit people. There's like a little, I think, arena that you can go into. You can buy equipment, that sort of stuff. So
right.
It's not just another strategy game. They've definitely put their own stamp on it. I do got to say, overall, I mean, you mentioned talking about this in 15 years over Castle Crashers and Battle Block Theater. I think in general, I mean, the fact Tom Popp, who's the co-founder of this, Tom Popp and Dan Paladin, his influence on the indie game, excuse the end of the world happening in the background, his influence in the indie game scene is just insane.
Ripe. Yeah.
Oh my god. Like,
yep.
And the fact that he's continuing to do it, I mean, outside of Newgrounds, that and
well, I mean, they're kind of the first, well, I won't say they're the first, but
they're one of the fathers of the modern indie game industry.
Right. Like, when it comes to like the popular opinion, like they are definitely, yeah, they're known for making that trench for the rest of us to walk through.
Yeah. I mean, Castle Crashers was definitely one of the birthers of what we know indie games today. I mean, technically, you know, way back when gaming was really just pretty young in itself.
Basically, everybody was an indie gamer. Yep.
But from what we know of it today, Behemoth was one of the trailblazers, I should say. So,
I'm excited. This game looks really cool.
I've been reporting on this game for so long, back when they were calling it Game 4. By the way, it was called Game 4, if you don't remember, way back when.
Yep.
The fact that it's been this long and it's finally coming to fruition just makes me super excited.
The name, though.
Pit People? You know,
it's not a strong name to me. Like, it's not good. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel they could have did something better.
We like Game 4 instead.
People. I mean, why not? Nobody else has done that.
I mean, it's like they're thinking like gladiatorial battles. So you're in a pit fighting.
Sure. And they're people.
And one thing exactly. And one thing well, actually, not all of them.
Right.
But one thing that's interesting you mentioned about game names, though, is you got to think about marketing.
Yep.
Even if there's a game or a name that would match it a lot better, if there's other games that have the same name or anything literally that has the same name, and you put it on Google and people are searching it,
finding it is next to impossible.
You're going to be buried.
Yeah. Yep.
I forget who I was talking to, but that was like one of the problems they were having selling their games, because it would just be buried in all search results because it was such a common name. But anyway, I'm not sure how much more there is to say about this, because I don't really want to give away too much of the story, but you get it's the gist of, like, there's a kind of a triangle with swords, axes, magic, that sort of thing. There's range attacks, healers, magic, that sort of thing. I think I said magic. But anyway.
So like a rock, paper, scissors idea?
Yeah, there's the whole triangle idea of it, and hence the whole strategy of, like, putting people where they need to be next to other people, or you have to. The strategy is, I mentioned this earlier, the strategy is well balanced, and it will fuck you up if you don't pay attention to it. However, it's not so difficult that the difficulty curve is not so bad that it just becomes incredibly frustrating to the point where you quit. It's if you're gonna fuck up, it's of your own volition. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not getting your ass kicked because it's hard. You're getting your ass kicked because you suck. Is what it is. So, good job, Tom Popp, Dan Paladin, and the rest of the team at the Behemoth. You know who else did a good job?
I do.
Who's that?
Is it the Free Fun?
Yeah, the person who made the Free Fun game.
Yeah. It's time for some free fun. This time around, we're playing Evader. It's an arcade-style action game about skillfully avoiding death using a unique dual-control movement system. Your friends at Kotaku and Polygon will say that this is a twin-stick shooter without shooting, but our friends over at Indie Game Riot will say it's more like the brother of two tales, or the tales of the two brothers. Tales of two brothers.
Yeah, Tale of two. Sure. I would say that Kotaku and Polygon are not my friends. Not a big fan of them, but anyway,
no, not at all.
Point that
a little bit.
No, PC Gamer is actually where I got this from, anyway. And
Gotcha.
I like the whole thing. I never really thought of it calling it this, like those quick, like Super Meat Boy, like die and the quick spawns. They call it
Quick
die
respawn.
and retry.
Yep.
Die and retry. That's got a ring to it. Good on you, 051, developer of Evader. I was reading about it too, though, that it takes a particular skill set to play this game. I sound like Liam Neeson or something, but
A particular set of skills.
I can play these things with two thumbsticks.
There you go.
Where you have to have like this good multitasking hand-eye coordination, or else you're just going to be terrible at this game. Apparently, I was reading the PC Gamer piece on it, and they were saying that I recognize this as a great game, but I'm terrible at it, and therefore don't enjoy it. So
Yep.
I will say, I mean, it's free, so you're not going to lose anything if you try it out. But don't give it shit just because you suck.
Yep.
Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, so
Not every game is there for everyone.
I can easily throw this in the pile of like what's the Terry Kavanaugh game, Super Hexagon?
Well, it was inspired by Super Hexagon. Funny you mentioned.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Super Hexagon,
good,
Geometry
'cause
Wars, those sorts of games.
Totally makes sense. That I can throw it into Beat Hazard. If you ever played Beat Hazard,
Yes, I think I did.
I can throw it into Super Meat Boy, of games that I will become so frustrated I will refuse to play.
It's free is what is different about this, so I think you should give it a try anyway. However, if you have money, it's on Itch.io. I always, actually, I don't know if it gives you the option or not, but if it gives you the option to pay what you want, I always suggest throwing like $5 their way. I mean, come on, you're supporting talent,
Right?
To say, in art. It was made for Game Jam, Wizard Jam 5, whatever that is.
So Wizard Jam is the guys over at Idle Thumbs who made Firewatch.
Oh.
They run a podcast. They run two podcasts right now, though. They run Idle Thumbs, which is their monthly gaming podcast, and they run Important If True, which is their weekly. This is a bunch of bullshit life stuff that we deal with. They started running what they call the Wizard Jam, and the idea is that the games have to be named after their episode titles. And they're very clever when they come up with titles for their episodes for the podcast.
Interesting.
So you have to make the game based on that. So it's a very much like Indie Game Riot. They're a very like tight knit community. They get a really cool forum. Highly recommended. Very cool guys.
I don't like them anymore.
Oh.
Now you compare them. I'm just kidding. But anyway, Evader looks beautiful with the lighting that they had in this. Pretty smooth, to be honest, too. Especially, I mean, anytime it's a game that looks this high quality in a game jam, I'm always impressed with it. I'm not sure do you know how long Wizard Jam is?
It's usually about a week.
Oh, weeks.
So it's not, yeah. The way that they set it up is it's like I was saying, it's very community driven. So it's like people will come up and say, "Hey, I can do this. Let me know what you need." So it's like you have a guy who's like, "I can make music. So like just shoot me if you need music and what kind of music you're looking for." And like that's all he'll do.
Oh, sweet.
Or she'll do is just like create music for an entire week. So it's
for
not,
everyone, not just one team.
Exactly. So it's not
cool.
your traditional jam.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Oh, you like them now, do you?
No.
No.
No, I don't like them. To elaborate on the mechanics, by the way, yeah, you're controlling two different things with both thumbsticks on a controller. The whole idea is that there's a laser between them for those of you who will be listening to this audio version in the future whenever we get audio back up, or if you're listening to this in the background. The laser, there's a laser between the two, and you have to position it so that you're basically destroying these things that fall from the sky with said laser without running into those things with the two balls that you're controlling with your thumbsticks. Pretty simple, as most game jam games go, but super fun, addicting, and
Devil Daggers. That was another game I was thinking about.
I don't like that game.
Yeah, because it's like this game. It's like you get one shot, and if you fuck it up, it's game over, and you got to start over.
I don't know. There's something about that game I just didn't enjoy. I know a lot of people like it, though. But anyway, you know what a lot of people don't like?
Saying goodbye.
Yeah, saying goodbye. It's the end of the show. All good things must come to an end.
Yeah.
Though I will say that if you want this show to continue, and you want to help us not only continue, but grow and get better, please consider checking out our Patreon. Patreon.com/Indie Game Riot. And you can donate anywhere from $1 on up. There's tiers on there. You get rewards at Kickstarter. I think we have it going up to $55. You can always donate more if you want to every month. But it goes up to $55 for the tier rewards. And it's super appreciated no matter how much you decide to send to us. So thank you so much for that. And I mentioned earlier, I mentioned between segments, I think, if you like to watch us on Twitch, our live recording sessions, we now have a subscribe button because we're an affiliate and they release subscribe buttons to us. You can do that. There's like a $5 one, a $10 one, and I think a $25 one. But if you have a Prime subscription, you can always, every 30 days, change your Prime subscription to our channel. It costs you nothing because you're already paying for Twitch Prime, and it still supports us. So thank you for that as well. Other things that you can do to help us out is to contact us with things like news or games that we should check out, people to interview, that sort of thing. You can do that on Twitter at IGR Podcast or Facebook.com/IGR Podcast. And you can email us, contact@IndieGameRiot.com. Of course, you can also go on our Discord. I mentioned that several times before because I get super excited about that because it grows all the time. I see new people pop in, and it's getting pretty cool in there. And that's where I think we're going to probably make that because we don't like have forums or anything like that. And it's cool that you can do it, live all the time on Discord, and just talk to. I'm on there a lot. Eric's on there quite a bit. You can talk to us there. And we're going to make that like a headquarters for a lot of things. Like we're going to have that meeting for IRX, which you should all come. July 14th. It's starting at 10 in the morning, Eastern time. Also, big thanks to Eric. You can check him out on Twitter at Eric Hunter. You can also go to ericmhunter.net where he has his podcast, #radio. He also does some writing out there as well. Definitely go check it out. And if not, for Eric, do it for me. Because Eric's helping me out quite a bit. He's been a wonderful guest.
Or do it for your grandma, because, I don't know, grandmas like me.
Yeah, they like him a lot. He actually, his nickname is Cougar Bait.
There you go.
Yeah.
Open for business.
Any last words?
No. Just keep on gaming.
Go to Indie Revolution Expo. Do it. Say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Toodles.